Both Harry and Terry's girlfriends went away on a business trip for the weekend. During the whole time, the couples were texting and sending each other pictures. On Sunday morning, the girls asked their boyfriends to send them their selfies. Harry sent a selfie where he was smiling in the kitchen. Terry sent a selfie of himself in the bathroom. One of the girlfriends knew immediately that her boyfriend was cheating. Who was it, and how did the girlfriend know? It was Harry. Look at that lipstick mark on the glass on top of the kitchen counter. Becca and Tom are a couple. One of them rented a scooter from Brown Scooters and now needs to pay for the ride. A worker from the scooter company comes to charge the couple $15 that they owe. Becca and Tom start arguing over who should pay for the scooter. Becca says that Tom was the one who wrote it, so he should pay for it. But Tom says that it was Becca who wrote it and she should pay for it. Who is lying? Becca is lying. Take a look at Becca's footprints. They lead directly to the scooter. There were 3 thefts at a local supermarket. One in February, one in May, and one in July. Thankfully, the security camera recorded the footage of those 3 days. The store manager called Detective Moore, asking to solve the crime. The detective took a close look at the footage and noticed one detail that helped him solve the mystery. Take a look at the images and try to figure out who the thief is. In all 3 videos, there is a pregnant lady. In the video from February, she looks about 7 months pregnant. But in the other videos, from May and July, her belly looks exactly the same. This means that she is the thief. She must have been faking her pregnancy all along. Dr. O'Brien invented the time machine and traveled all the way back to prehistoric times. Take a look at this picture and see if you can spot Dr. O'Brien amongst other prehistoric people carrying out their activities. That's easy. It's the guy with the flashlight. He must have taken one with him when he set off on his journey. Katie was running late for class. When she finally arrived at the classroom, she accidentally dropped the pile of textbooks she was holding. It produced a loud thump, making the entire classroom stare at her. At that moment, Katie drew the attention of 20 eyes. How many people were in the classroom that day? There were 11 people. 10 people have a pair of eyes each, right? Add Katie to the equation. That makes a total of 11 people in the room. Police officer Dave received a call late at night. A famous chemist went missing from his lab. After searching the lab thoroughly, Dave found a note with ransom numbers scribbled on it. The note read 26 3 58, 28 27 57 16. Based on the note, Dave managed to find the scientist and arrest the criminals who had taken him. What was written in the encrypted note, and how did Dave understand it? The chemist is smart. Each number in the note corresponds to an element in the periodic table. So the element that corresponds to 26 is Fe, iron. Number 3 is Li, lithium. And 58 is Ce, cerium. If you use this logic, you can figure out that the first line spells Felice, and the numbers in the second line stand for Nicholas. After figuring out the names, Dave tracked the men down and arrested them. Helena finally got herself a new guitar. She wanted to play it right away, but she had to go to school. She locked the instrument inside her room and left. When she got home in the evening, the guitar was gone. She knew it must have been one of her family members, as they always played pranks on one another. So she questioned each one of them. Helena's mother said she hadn't even seen the guitar the girl had bought. Her dad said that he had seen it when he passed by Helena's room, but he swore he hadn't done anything to it. Helena's brother said he hadn't gone upstairs the whole day, so he hadn't seen the guitar either. Helena solved the mystery instantly. Can you figure it out? Her dad was lying. He said he'd seen the guitar when passing by the girl's room, but that's impossible. Helena locked the door when she left. A bank was robbed by masked strangers. One of the robbers asked the teller to give them all the money hidden in the bank safe. But suddenly, the teller's phone rang. It was his mother. The robber told the guy to pick up the phone to avoid arousing suspicion. On the phone, the teller asked, "Is there an emergency, Mother? Call me when you get home and I'll help you with the dinner." Then he hung up. 5 minutes later, while the robbers were still in the bank, the police arrived at the crime scene. How did the police know about the robbery? The teller was smart. While he was speaking on the phone with his mother, he pressed the mute button while he was saying some of the words. So what his mother heard on the other end of the line was, "Emergency, Mother, call help." On the outskirts of a town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check it out. They went there at night, but as soon as they got there, one of the friends refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed and left him behind. There were terrible crashing sounds coming from the house, and then everything went still. John never saw his friends again. How did John understand that there was something seriously wrong with the house? John was very attentive. He noticed that there was lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. A famous hotel has 7 floors. 5 people are staying on the first floor. 8 people are staying on the second floor. 11 people are staying on the third floor, and so on. Each next floor has 3 more people living there than the previous one. Which floor calls the elevator most often? The first floor. Any person staying on a floor other than the first has to call the elevator to reach their destination. In a small town, 3 teachers asked for sick leave on the same day. Janet said she had got into a car accident and broke her leg. Now she was having difficulty walking with the cast and all. Emma complained she'd had a very unfortunate workout and injured her neck. She couldn't even turn her head. And Tina said that she'd fallen from her bike and hurt her arm. One of the teachers is lying. Can you tell who? It's Janet. She claims she's having difficulty walking with the cast, but she doesn't even have crutches. You wake up and find yourself trapped in a room with 4 doors in front of you. You hear a monster coming, so you check the door quickly. The leftmost door has a sign on it saying, "Take the door on the right to break free." The second door also has a sign saying, "It's the right door." The third door has a sign, "Freedom is just right in front of you." And the last door has a sign saying, "Don't trust the signs." Which door should you choose? Well, there's a little bit of wordplay here. Let's see why. The first door says to take the door on the right. The second one says it's the right door. Not the correct door, but the door on the right. The third door says, "Freedom is just right in front of you." That just doesn't make any sense, does it? You can interpret this statement as pointing at the door just on your right. Well, that's it. It's the last door. It does tell you not to trust the other signs, but it doesn't tell you that they're false, does it?
Amy is an astronaut. She had spent months preparing for a space journey that would take her outside of the solar system. During the trip, she landed on another planet in an unknown galaxy. She began to explore the city and its citizens. Very soon, though, she felt the need to go to the restroom. She saw 2 doors leading to the ladies' and gentlemen's bathrooms and got confused. She didn't speak the local language and couldn't ask which door was for men and which was for women. Thankfully, she met a local guide, Bo, who could understand English. However, he could only speak his native language. What 2 questions should Amy ask to figure out the right door? She should point at one of the doors and ask, "Is this the woman's restroom?" Then, she needs to remember Bo's reply and ask, "Am I a woman?" If Bo says the same word, the restroom Amy is pointing at must be for women. And if Bo says a different word, the restroom is for men. A thief wanted to rob a local bank. He came up with a brilliant plan to dress up as one of the bank's clients and try to sneak into the vault. As he was approaching the vault, he saw a security guard standing right in front of the door. The robber hadn't anticipated this, so he hid and watched the guard carefully. When one of the actual bank clients walked up to the door, the security guard said, 12, and the client said, 6, and got inside. Then another client came up to the vault. When the security guard said 6, the person answered 3 and was granted access. "Oh, I've totally got this," the robber thought. He nonchalantly walked up to the security guard. When the guard said 10, the robber confidently answered 5. He was arrested immediately. Why was his answer wrong? And what should he have answered instead? The correct response depends on the number of the letters in the word. 12 has 6 letters, so the answer is 6. 6 has 3 letters, so the answer is 3. As for 10, the robber should have said 3. Dave was on his way to a football match when he got a flat tire. He stopped on the roadside to fix it, but accidentally dropped all 4 wheel nuts into the sewer grate. There was no way to retrieve them. Dave was beginning to suspect that he would have to spend hours there when a car passing by stopped to help him. Dave told the driver about his problem, and the guy knew immediately what Dave needed to do. Dave managed to change the tire very quickly and went to the nearest service station to get his car properly fixed. What was the advice the guy gave Dave? That's easy. He told Dave to remove 1 nut from each of the other 3 wheels and use them to secure the new tire. Can you name one thing that all people on Earth are doing simultaneously? Getting older, duh! On a Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe. 3 people were in the office at that time. Kate, the accountant, said she had left for several minutes to go to the bathroom. Walker, the IT manager, said he'd gone out for lunch and hadn't seen anything. Pete, a cleaning man, said he'd been cleaning the 2nd floor at the time. Can you figure out who's lying? It's Walker. He said he'd been on his lunch break, but it was still morning at that time. In the afternoon, 3 people visited Tessa's clothing store. These 3 people were the only customers she had that day. The first person bought a belt and a purse. The second person bought a dress. And the third customer got a hat. One of them was a criminal, and Tessa immediately reported them to the police. Who is the criminal? And how did she know? The third person gave her a $1,000 bill, but such bills don't exist. On Halloween, Carrie decided to visit the spookiest house in the neighborhood. As soon as she got inside, the door locked behind her back. Luckily, she saw 3 ways out. However, behind the first door, there was a venomous snake. Behind the second door, there was toxic gas. And the third door was hiding a large lake. Which door should she choose? The last door. It's just a lake. She can swim across it. At Los Angeles Airport, the police were looking for a man that had smuggled some goods into the country. The only detail the police knew about the man was that he had a beard. They stopped a group of people that had just arrived from different countries. The detectives noticed 3 bearded men and interrogated them. Tom said he'd just arrived from London. It was a business trip. The second guy, Roberto, said he'd just come from Spain to visit his girlfriend. And the third man, Pierre, said he'd come from France. He was on vacation. The detectives didn't even need to check their plane tickets to figure out who the criminal was. And what do you think? It must be Pierre. Look, the guy doesn't have any luggage with him, but he said he'd come to LA on vacation. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night. It disappeared right from his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but under a layer of paint, you can spot some red color. He must have stolen it and painted it a different color. But you caught him. Good job. Sandra went to the police station to report a crime. She said she was in the bathroom in the mall, reapplying her makeup when someone came up to her from behind and hit her on the head. The officer asked her if she remembered anything about the robber, but she said she hadn't seen anything since the criminal had approached her from behind. The police officer sent the woman home and refused to file the report. Why? The woman said she'd been fixing her makeup, so she had most likely been looking in the mirror. It means she would have seen the person approaching her from behind. She must be lying. Grace has 7 sons, and each of them has a sister. How many children does Grace have in total? The answer is 8. If we consider that each son has the same sister, then it's 7 sons plus 1 daughter. 8 children in total. Anna runs a chocolate factory, and she offers all her clients a special deal. Anyone can exchange 5 chocolate wrappers for 1 chocolate bar. Robert spent 2 weeks collecting the wrappers and managed to find 77. Can you tell what maximum number of chocolates he can get from Anna? Robert can get a total of 19 chocolates. Here's how it works. First of all, he can exchange 77 wrappers for 15 chocolates with 2 wrappers left. Then, after unwrapping the new 15 chocolate bars, Robert will be able to exchange 15 wrappers for 3 more chocolates. Now he can use the remaining 2 wrappers plus the new 3 wrappers to get 1 more chocolate bar. 15 plus 3 plus 1 equals 19. Oliver was sitting at his desk, working from home, when someone hit him on the head. He was taken to the nearest hospital. Meanwhile, the police found 4 suspects that could have been responsible for the crime. All of them, Oliver's neighbors. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park all morning. Henry explained he'd been painting in the studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he'd been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Can you figure out who is lying? Well, take a look at these people's hands. Henry and Jacob were probably wearing gloves during their activities, which would explain why their hands are clean. But Sophia's hands are smooth, and they would be all wrinkled if she had indeed spent over 3 hours in the water. She must be the culprit.
Get ready for a new set of absolutely amazing optical illusions. Concentrate hard and don't let them trick you. Number 1. Look at these circles attentively, and you'll notice they're rotating. But that's just an illusion. The circles are completely still. Number 2. Which is bigger, the hat's height or its width? They're absolutely the same. Your eyes are playing tricks on you. Number 3. Which tower is leaning more? Ha! Look at that, they're the same. Even though one tower seems to be lopsided when placed next to a copy of itself, this is called the leaning tower illusion. Number 4. How many colors do you see in this image? However many you might see, in reality, there are only 3. Number 5. The patterns in this picture seem to be moving. But once you focus on one of the ovals, the whole image becomes still. Number 6. What do you see in this picture? A moving star? Well, the star part is correct, but in reality, it's a static image. Once again, if you concentrate on any of its parts, the picture will stop moving. Number 7. It seems as if there are 3 cylinders in this image, and they're all rotating. But you know what to do. Stare at the center of the picture and all the movement will stop. Number 8. Which pencil is longer? They are of the same length. Number 9. Can you find 3 animals in this picture? Three bunnies are hiding in the tree branches. Number 10. Look at this rotating thingy. There's no doubt it's a 3D image, but in reality, it's just a set of rotating figures that creates such a 3-dimensional effect. Number 11. Look at the screen and move your head forward and backward while focusing on the center of the image. When you come closer, the lines will seem to rotate counterclockwise. As soon as you start to move away from the image, the lines will rotate clockwise. Number 12. There is something hidden in this grid. Can you figure out what it is? If you can't spot it, try to shake your head, move further from the screen, or screw up your eyes. And just in case it hasn't helped either, let me make the grid less bright. Here we go. A lovely kitty. Number 14. Can you figure out which word is hidden here? That's bedside. Number 15. Look at this image and say which string is tied to the banana. I was almost sure it was string number 2, but in fact, that's the third one. Number 16. Which word is brighter? If you remove the grid, it'll become obvious that both words are of the same color. Number 17. Each horizontal band seems to be lighter in the middle and darker near the boundaries. But in reality, all of them are of a uniform shade. Number 18. Which line is longer, A or B? They're both of the same length. This illusion is created because your mind perceives this image in 3D space. That's why your brain tells you that the line which is closer to you must be shorter than the more distant one. Number 19. Are the woman's eyes of the same color? In fact, they are. You can make sure of it by comparing the color of her eyes and the hair accessory. Number 20. At first sight, it's just a red fan rotating over a bright green background. But try to concentrate on the black dot in the middle. You'll notice that the green under the fan is brighter than that of the surrounding ring. And the fan blades are actually redder than the central disc. Number 21. These two discs are pulsating, changing between dark and light. But are they doing it at the same time? Keep watching, and you'll see that it depends on the background. When it's light, the discs pulsate in sync. But when one part of the background is light and the other is dark, the discs seem to pulse not simultaneously. Number 22. Which word is hidden in this image? That's the word quality. Number 23. Which creature has a longer mouth, yellow or green? Their mouths are of the same length. Number 24. How about this picture? Which word does it hide? High five if you spotted the word quite. Number 25. That's how a set of simple straight lines can trick your brain. The square made up of vertical lines looks wider and shorter than the one formed of horizontal lines. Number 26. Look at this pyramid made of elongated diamonds. Are these diamonds darker at the top or at the bottom of the pyramid? All diamonds are identical, even though it surely doesn't look like that. But once we start moving around them, this way, and comparing them with one another, it becomes obvious. Number 27. Find 3 animals hidden in this image. Right you are. There are 3 foxes over there in the tree. Number 28. Look at the wheel moving behind the red picket fence. Its spokes seem to be bent at the bottom. There's nothing wrong with the wheel, and the spokes are perfectly straight. Want to make sure? Look, the fence is becoming transparent. Here you go. Number 29. Now, this wheel seems to be rotating clockwise, and the spokes are moving counterclockwise. But if you look at one of the spokes attentively, you'll notice it's actually staying in one place. Or rather, it makes a tiny shift forward and then returns to its place. Number 30. Which word is hidden in this image? It's feather. Number 31. What do you see in this picture? There's no definite answer here. Some people notice footprints, others 5 bowling pins. Number 32. How about this picture? Are those 3 pairs of alternating grooves and ridges? Or maybe you see 3 shiny oval tubes. The main trick is that the right side of the image looks like a folded surface and the left resembles the tubes. Number 33. Which word do you see here? It's the word change. Number 34. Look at the blue lines. They seem to be moving in pairs. And how about now? They suddenly form an outline of a diamond. Number 35. These wooden railroad tracks seem to be different in size. The lower one looks larger than the one at the top, but if we switch them, it becomes obvious that they're identical in size. Number 36. Do these horizontal lines seem parallel to you? And what if I tell you they are, and what you see is just an illusion? Number 37. Try to figure out which line is longer here. If your answer is, "Come on, I know they're of the same length," you're absolutely right. Number 38. Can you see anything unusual in this picture? There's a Dalmatian hiding here. Number 39. There seems to be a bulge in the middle of this checkerboard. But in reality, this checkerboard is regular, and each of its checks is perfectly square. You'll see it once we remove the tiny black and white ticks. Number 40. The blue horizontal stripes in this picture can't be parallel, right? But if we remove all the additional elements, it'll become apparent that the lines are not oblique. How many shades of gray can you count in this bar? The correct answer is 11. Nah, just kidding. The bar in the middle is one constant color. The background makes you see more than one shade of gray here. You can see it if you cover the spaces above and below the bar. Can you tell which of the surfaces is darker? Is it A or B? Surface A only seems obviously darker. In reality, they are exactly the same color. Cover the middle of the drawing with your hand to check it. Scientists still can't explain this illusion. One theory says this might be because of how your brain interprets the signals from the photoreceptors in your eyes. The most active cells reduce the activity in neighboring ones, and this creates a contrast that's not in fact real. Now, find the darkest square in this picture. Whichever square you chose, you can't be right. They're all the same color, just set against different backgrounds. Moving on. Do you pick white or black pieces? I'll let you choose. Well, you can't pick black or white here because the pieces are all the same color. The background and the way you perceive light explains this illusion. How many colors do you see here? I clearly see 4. It's actually 2. Red and green, one shade of each. You get the illusion there are different colors here because some of them are surrounded by white and some by green boxes. By the way, white isn't a color in scientific terms. It's the presence of all colors. That's why we don't count it as one. Here's another one for you. Which side is darker? Nope, it's not the right side. It's one shade of red that seems darker on the right because of the black background. Oh no, this table is tilting to the right and about to turn over. Or is it? No worries, it's perfectly stable. The slanted lines create this tilting effect. Both rectangles are parallel. You can check it with a ruler. How many faults do you see in this square? The correct answer is 0. This square by Walter Ehrenstein is perfect. It seems curved because it's placed inside a pattern of concentric circles. Would you prefer a rectangular or square table? No matter which one you chose, just take any. They're of exactly the same shape and size. Here's a classic Ponzo illusion. Which of the green lines is longer? It's the one in the foreground. Just kidding, they're the same length. This illusion works because your brain interprets the image with perspective, and it's just a simple 2D image. How about a ride? Do you think this Ferris wheel is moving clockwise or counterclockwise? Sorry guys, the ride is closed today. Any movement you see here is just an illusion. Here's an easy one for you. Try to quickly say the color of these words. Hey, it takes forever to focus on the colors without reading them. The right half of your brain is trying to name the colors, and the left half is trying to make you say the words. This is known as the Stroop effect, and it's used as a test for jobs where concentration is a must. Can you count all the gray dots at the intersections in this grid? The correct answer is 0. This is a Hermann grid illusion. Your brain makes you think they are gray dots at the intersections because of the dark surroundings. If you look closer, all the dots are gone. Another good old classic, Necker cube. This was discovered in the 19th century. Do you think the blue wall is in the block or on the block? Is it the back wall or the side wall? There's no correct answer, so keep guessing. Is this just a set of some geometrical shapes, or does it have a secret message? Eureka! That's the correct answer. Are you up for a helicopter ride? Pick the one with a longer line on top. It's impossible. They're equal in length, and the surroundings make you believe otherwise. Time for some magic. You can turn this negative photo into a full-color image with the power of your brain. Stare at the dots at the center of the girl's face for about 30 seconds. Now, quickly turn your eyes to the center X of the white image on the right of the woman's face. Blink several times. Do you see the image of a girl in full color? If not, try staring at the negative image a bit longer, or sit closer or further from your computer monitor. This illusion works when your rods and cones get overstimulated. The cells viewing the darkest part of the image are least affected by this. When you look away, they react the strongest, and you can see the reverse of the original image. Some optical illusions with a double meaning can tell a lot about your personality. What do you see here? If it's a profile of a man to you, you're pretty realistic and take things for what they are. You trust others and easily rely on them at work and in your personal life. You mix with new people easily. If you notice the word liar, you always look for a hidden subtext in everything. It's not easy for you to trust others. Even when things are going just fine, you're always looking for some surprises coming your way. How many pandas do you see in this image? If it's just 2, you're an ambitious person focused on your goals. When you have a plan, nothing can take you off your course. You're direct and always say what you really think. If you saw 5 pandas or more, you're a really creative person. You always see the little things others might not notice. You get inspiration when you least expect it, even from basic everyday events. What does this one look like to you? If you see a huge eye on the ground, you're a settled person who's pretty content with their life. You have your home, job, and favorite places, and wouldn't give up this comfort for some unknown path. If you see a landscape with some deep green abyss or a volcano crater, you long for adventures. You can't wait to explore the world, and your biggest fear is settling down and not getting the chance to travel. Time for the next illusion. Those who see a face of a young girl here are pretty emotional and sentimental people. You miss someone or something that made you really happy and still can't let go. Try to accept the best is yet to come into your life. Those who see a young man staring at a landscape here are at the crossroads of their lives. You realize you need some changes to be happier, but you don't know what to start with. All roads are open to you. Just take that first step. Here's a really tricky one. If it looks like a landscape with a horseman to you, you're more extroverted than introverted. You enjoy your alone times, but mostly need the company of others to share with. You're fun, easygoing, and a great team player. If you see a wolf here, you must be more introverted than extroverted. You feel comfortable in your own company and aren't afraid to listen to yourself. You aren't afraid of responsibility and prefer to get all the credits for what you've done.
Now, Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was one door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controls the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches in whatever way she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. After some minutes of thinking, she was able to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1 and then waited a few minutes. She flipped it back to off and then immediately flipped switch number 2. Then she opened the door and checked the light. The bulb was off, so she discovered that it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. So she decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb had been cold, that would have meant that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot, so that meant that switch number 1 controlled 1. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other one measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. When the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And once the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand at the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Now look at this party scene. Everyone is dancing in their Halloween costumes and having an enjoyable time. You've been told that one of these people is a real vampire. Can you figure out who it is? Let's see. The guy on the left is drinking something red, but he has a shadow, so he can't be a real vampire. The second lady looks creepy, could be her, but if you look closely at the mirror on the wall, you'll see her reflection, so it can't be her. Ah, And we can also see the reflection of the fourth guy in the mirror. This only leaves one lady left. She must be the real vampire. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her, but after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat Pepper got scared with a loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. Brendan was camping alone in a remote location. He left his campsite and hiked 3 miles south. Then he turned east and hiked for another 3 miles. After that, he turned north and hiked for another 3 miles. After walking 9 miles, he was back to the exact same point from where he had left off. Plus, he got there just in time to find a bear trying to open his tent and steal his food. Look at the image. Can you guess the only place in the world where Brendan could be right now? It's the North Pole. That's the only place where you can hike for 3 miles south, east, and north and end up exactly where you left off. Fraser bought a cozy home in Vancouver. On a sunny day, he decided to take his dog out for a walk. When he let his dog off the leash, it ran extremely far away from him. At some point, the dog was opposite him across a huge lake. Fraser called his dog, who managed to cross safely to the other side of the lake without getting wet or using a boat. Can you guess how the dog managed to do it? Well, that's a trick question, but the dog could easily cross the lake since it was frozen. Your best friend invited you for brunch at a place called Wally's World. As soon as you arrive there, the hostess tells you that you need to solve a riddle to get inside. She tells us that there is only one rule at Wally's World. Over there is pizza with cheese, but no pizza with sausage. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. With this information, can you guess what the law is? Everything in Wally's World must contain double letters. So things such as pizza, pepper, and cheese are allowed inside. Whew! That sure wasn't obvious, huh? On a snowy winter afternoon, Dr. Brown was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. Dr. Brown stood up just in time to see 3 neighborhood boys running away. They were brothers with the names John Smith, Mark Smith, and Dave Smith. The next day, a paper note was left on Dr. Brown's door. There it was written, a question mark, then Smith. He threw the snowball. Dr. Brown knew immediately which brother had done it. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. You see, the note said, question mark Smith. He threw the snowball. But the boys were clever and put a question mark instead to test Dr. Brown's detective abilities. Henry was backpacking through Brazil by himself. One evening at around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer said that he had ordered clam soup, while the waiter was saying he had only ordered a cup of tea. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. "I set off as soon as I heard the news," she told the police officer. "I was at my parents' house in another town. What's happened to my husband?" "Well," the police said, "somebody hurt Mr. Moffat, and he ended up in the hospital. He's going to be okay, but we still need to find out who did this to him." The police officer has questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Moffat's secretary said, "I was sent to visit Mr. Moffat's business partner in the morning. Some important documents needed signatures." The cook said, "I haven't left the kitchen today. Mr. Moffat wanted me to prepare a meal for him and his wife." The housekeeper said, "I didn't hear anything today. I was doing some household chores all day long. After that, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap." The police officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it? It was the cook. Mr. Moffat didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife, since she had been out of town all along.